In the world of arm wrestling, there are moments that rise beyond sport, moments that become legends, etched into the iron arms of time, and one such battle ignited in 2023, when two titans collided in an unforgettable war of strength, technique, and willpower. On one side stood Genadi Kvikvinia, a 6'1", 309-pound Georgian beast, began dominating arm wrestling in 2009. Six-time world champion, eight-time European champion, his 21-inch biceps crushed opponents like toothpicks. In 2023, he was a titan, ready to destroy any challenger. Across from him, Devon Larratt, nearly 50 years old, yet still climbing the mountain of greatness, a Canadian icon of arm wrestling. Devon was stepping into the super heavyweight division of East versus West for the very first time. He had just come off a dominant victory over the dangerous and technical Evgeny Prudnik in the 105-kilogram division, and now he was ready for the giants. Devon's weapon has never just been brute force, it's his unmatched adaptability, honed across more than 30 elite-level competitions. He's a master of control. His style blurs the line between psychological warfare and technical wizardry. With subtle adjustments, Devon shifts the tide in his favor, often using his deep understanding of rules and grip setups to gain small, critical advantages without ever fully crossing the line. He's also a showman. His presence, his banter, his charisma, they draw the spotlight and bring the audience closer to the sport. The stage was set, the crowd waited, and round one began. From the start, Devon took center control. Talking calmly, methodically, as he always does, he crept deeper into a dominant setup. Shoulder committed, wrist high. Gennady surged with every ounce of power, but hit a brick wall. Devon wasn't moving. Then, just as the control seemed absolute, Devon was given a foul. The call shocked fans and analysts alike. Was it justified? Was it manufactured? The debate rages to this day. The restart changed everything. Gennady, always the tactician himself, cleverly used the slip start pressure to explode into a surprise flop press. The transition caught Devon off guard. His elbow slipped. Second foul. Round one to Gennady. The Georgian roared with triumph. Round two began with a shift in strategy. Devon dove into a deep hook, neutralizing the flop press. A grueling, grinding war followed. Pure attrition. But inch by inch, Devon pressed forward, slowly flattening Gennady's wrist and finally driving it down to the pad. 1-1. Momentum was turning. In round three, Devon struck with precision. This time from the go, he launched a powerful triceps press straight off the setup. Clean, fast, unstoppable. Gennady had no answer. 2-1 Devon, but champions don't crumble. In round four, Gennady returned with fire. With no hesitation, he exploded into a flawless flop press, catching Devon flat and unable to counter. The pressure was immense, and the Canadian's arm was forced down. 2-2. The match was now dead even. The final round, the decider. Both men exhausted, both breathing heavy. The ref's hands closed. Silence. Then bang. Gennady launched forward in an all-out blitz. Devon tried to absorb, to hold, but he was spent. His tank was empty. The strength wasn't there. Gennady's press drove forward. Unstoppable. Undeniable. 3-2. Victory for Georgia. But champions are forged in fire, and Devon, broken as he looked, stood tall. He shook Gennady's hand, accepted the loss with grace, and promised he will return. In interviews days later, he spoke calmly, but with steel in his voice. He would rewrite the ending. He would take his revenge. And the story of Devon versus Gennady was far from over. After his crushing defeat, Devon didn't retreat in despair. He reloaded. He knew Gennady's strengths: explosive flop press, unbreakable mindset, positional awareness. So this time, Devon shifted his entire training philosophy. He abandoned his traditional outside game and went deep into inside pulling, focusing specifically on raw containment and strength. His weapon of choice? A strange, self-designed handle called the multi-spinner. Unlike traditional tools, it isolated multiple vectors of force: wrist flexion, cupping, and finger pressure, all in one. Devon used it relentlessly. He hammered his wrist, fingers, and pronation with obsessive intensity. His floor snatch, pronation lifts, ripping heavy weights off the ground, seemed bizarre to many. But by late 2023, the entire arm wrestling world took notice. Everyone, from amateurs to pros, was trying to replicate this unorthodox, Devon-patented move. But Devon didn't chase just peak PRs. He knew better. After 3 elbow surgeries and decades in the sport, he understood that longevity and recovery were keys to high performance. He focused deeply on tendon and ligament health. After brutal sessions, he pumped blood into his forearms with light weights, chasing volume and circulation. This increased nutrient delivery, sped up recovery, and allowed him to train harder, longer. Another massive change: nutrition. During a high-profile collaboration with legendary strongman Brian Shaw, Devon shared arm wrestling secrets, teaching Brian the fundamentals. In return, Brian handed Devon the blueprint for heavyweight eating. Devon saw Brian as a future super heavyweight threat, possibly the only man capable of dethroning the Georgian Hulk, Levon Saganashvili. In fact, after losing to Levon, Devon began promoting Brian as a potential successor, the only one who could rise to the top if he committed fully. Brian gave Devon not just advice, but a complete overhaul. No more eggs and toast. Devon's meals became engineered machines of mass gain. Rice, eggs, red meat, oils, dense, balanced, and calorie-rich. For the first time in his life, Devon wasn't just training to win, he was eating to become a monster. Over the next 6 months, he grew, until finally Devon Larratt weighed in at a mind-blowing 300 pounds, the heaviest he'd ever been. In 2025, in Tbilisi, Georgia, the rematch was set, but this was not the same Devon. When the match began, everything changed. Devon didn't hesitate. He blasted forward like lightning. Gennady barely reacted before his hand was flat to the pad. A flash pin. Devon turned to the Georgian crowd, arms raised, eyes piercing, as if to say, "This is your champion?" Round after round, Devon dismantled the Georgian warrior. No hesitation, no mercy. Gennady tried to adjust, hook, press, even mind games. But Devon was everywhere, stronger, sharper, hungrier. And then came the final round. Devon slipped into a deep hook. His shoulder came in, his wrist locked. Slowly, methodically, he climbed, position after position, inch by inch. Gennady was trapped, unable to rotate, stuck at a dangerous downward angle. Devon adjusted again, shoulder tight, wrist high, transitioned to a triceps press, and drove with unstoppable pressure. Boom, the pad slammed. Devon Larratt stood victorious. It wasn't just a win, it was redemption. 2 years ago, he had been outgunned. Now he had rebuilt himself, smarter, bigger, and better. At nearly 50 years old, Devon Larratt climbed back to the top. He didn't surrender to time, to injury, or to doubt. He proved that with resilience, intelligence, and sheer willpower, the mountain can be climbed again, no matter your age, no matter your past. And in the heart of Georgia, Devon took back his crown, not just as an arm wrestler, but as a living legend of the sport.